In the opulent sprawl of Willowbrick Manor, where marble fountains sang ceaselessly to the wind and gardens bloomed in defiant splendor, young Elias Langford wept. At 8 years old, he was the heir to a fortune vast as the ocean, son of Victor Langford, the steel magnate whose name echoed in boardrooms like thunder. Elias's world was one of crystal chandeliers and velvet drapes, attended by nannies in starched uniforms and tutors who spoke in measured tones. Yet, beneath the gilded arches, his sobs were a constant undercurrent, a mystery that baffled the household. Servants whispered of spoiled whims, doctors diagnosed melancholy. Victor, ever the pragmatist, dismissed it as boyish frailty, burying himself deeper in ledgers and deals. Elias was deaf, born into silence after a cruel twist of fate during his mother's difficult labor. Victoria Langford had poured her final breaths into cradling him, her lullabies fading into the ether as she slipped away. Victor, shattered, had sealed her memory in attics of grief, vowing to armor his son against a world that had already taken too much. But Elias's tears were not for the hearing he lacked. They were for the echoes he could never grasp, the phantom melodies of a mother's voice, the rustle of her skirts, the soft hum of stories untold. In his dreams, he saw her lips moving, forming words he could only imagine, and awoke with a void that no toy yacht or pony could fill. No one knew. The manor buzzed with theories. Perhaps the boy's isolation in a hearing world bred despair, or the pressure of legacy weighed too heavy on tender shoulders. Victor hired specialists, speech therapists with patient smiles, psychologists with probing questions scribbled on pads. Elias would sign his frustrations in furious sweeps. Why can't I hear the rain? Why does everyone stare? But the tears persisted, silent storms that left his sapphire eyes rimmed in red, his golden curls damp against porcelain cheeks. The staff tiptoed, Victor retreated further into his empire, and the boy became a ghost in his own home, wandering sun-dappled halls with a sketchbook clutched like a shield, drawing fragmented visions of a woman with hair like autumn leaves. It was on a crisp autumn afternoon, when the leaves pirouetted like confetti from the elms, that Leela Evergreen arrived. At 7, she was a wisp of a girl from the neighboring croft, daughter of the groundskeeper whose calloused hands tended the manor's labyrinthine hedges. Leela's world was wilder, meadows of wild buttercups, the chatter of brookside birds, and her father's gravelly tales spun by firelight. With eyes like polished emeralds and braids woven with ribbon from her mother's sewing basket, she possessed a curiosity as boundless as the sky. Hired to entertain the young master, during Victor's absences, Leela entered Willowbrick not with trepidation, but with the quiet audacity of one who spoke to flowers and believed in hidden magics. Their first meeting was in the conservatory, amid orchids that unfurled like secrets. Elias sat hunched on a wrought iron bench, shoulders shaking, his sketchbook open to a half-formed portrait, a woman's face, blurred by teardrops smudged across the page. Leela approached, her pinafore dusted with earth from the garden, and tilted her head. She had learned basic signs from a cousin who stuttered, enough to bridge simple gaps. "Hello," she signed, her small fingers dancing like fireflies. "I'm Leela. Want to play?" Elias looked up, startled, his tears halting midstream. No one had signed to him before. The household relied on lip reading and pitying gestures. He wiped his face, nodding warily. "Elias," he replied, his signs precise, inherited from a brief, cherished tutor his father had dismissed as unnecessary expense. They wandered the glasshouse, Leela chattering in a mix of words and signs, describing the orchid's whispers, how they bloomed only for those who listened with their hearts. Elias watched her lips, then her hands, a flicker of wonder piercing his gloom. But as shadows lengthened, the tears returned, unbidden. Leela paused, kneeling before him. "Why cry?" she signed, her green eyes searching his like lanterns in fog. He hesitated, the weight of unspoken years pressing down. "Miss her," he signed finally, pointing to the sketch. "Mama, can't hear her voice. Never did. But I feel it, gone." Leela's brow furrowed, not in pity, but invention. She had lost her own mother to fever 2 summers past, her grief a quiet companion in the fields. But Leela believed in bridges over chasms. Wait, she whispered aloud, then signed wait. Fetching a forgotten music box from the manor's dusty parlor, a relic Victoria had cherished, its lid etched with silver vines, Leela wound the key. The tune emerged, a gentle waltz, tinkling like stars falling into water. She placed it in Elias's palm, closing his fingers around the cool porcelain. Feel, she signed, not hear. Feel Mama's song. Vibrations hummed through his skin. Subtle pulses that danced up his arm, into his chest, sinking with the ache in his heart. For the first time, the void stirred, not with absence, but resonance. Elias's eyes widened. He pressed the box to his ear, then his throat, tears shifting from sorrow to awe. The melody wasn't sound, but a tactile poem, a mother's caress translated into rhythm. Emboldened, Leela gathered more, the rustle of silk scarves dragged across his fingertips to mimic skirts, feathers from the aviary to evoke hair's whisper, even her own humming, throat against his, so he could sense the vibration of stories. This is her, Leela signed one evening, as they sat by the fountain. In the wind, in the leaves, she sings through me now. Elias laughed, a silent burst that lit his face like dawn, and drew her into his sketches, Leela and the ghostly Victoria, hands entwined in eternal grace. Word of the transformation rippled through Willowbrick. The servants marveled as Elias's tears dried, replaced by sketches that adorned the walls, vibrant tapestries of emotion. Victor, returning from a merger in the city, found his son racing across the gravel drive, signing furiously, "Papa. Leela showed me Mama's voice. It's here." He thrust the music box forward, its vibrations a defiant proof. Victor's empire had taught him transactions, not tenderness. But in Elias's gleaming eyes, he saw Victoria's reflection, the woman whose love had been his anchor, now reborn in a child's ingenuity. Kneeling, gravel biting his tailored knees, he signed clumsily, "I'm sorry. I forgot to listen," with heart. Tears, his own, mirrored his son's once constant flow. That night, father and boy unearthed Victoria's letters from the attic, Leela guiding them with her emerald gaze. Words became vibrations, pages pressed to skin, stories hummed into bones. Leela stayed, not as playmate, but family, her wild spirit weaving through the manor's silences. Willowbrick bloomed anew, charities for the deaf, gardens alive with sensory paths, Victor's boardrooms softened by empathy's edge. Elias grew into a composer of touches, his inventions, vibration gloves, resonant harps, bridging worlds his father once walled off. And in quiet moments, by the fountain's songless spray, Elias would sign to Leela, "You used your heart." "That's the magic." She would smile, braids swaying, and reply, "Hearts hear everything." In the end, the manor's fountains no longer sang alone. They echoed with the pulse of rediscovered love, a symphony felt, not heard, proving that true voices reside not in air, but in the tender vibrations between souls. Thank you for watching this story till the end. Sparkles, if it touched your heart, please support us. Thumbs up, give it a like. Speech balloon, share your thoughts in the comments. Bell, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Your support helps us create more stories that inspire and make you believe in miracles. Your participation means a lot to us. Heart.